In 1991, MC Hammer was worth over $70 million. He owned a 40,000 square foot mansion with gold-plated gates. He had 2 private helicopters sitting on his property, a fleet of luxury cars that would make a sheikh jealous, and a full-time staff of 200 people working for him around the clock. By 1996, he was $13 million in debt. 5 years. That's all it took to go from being one of the richest entertainers in the world to filing for bankruptcy. We're talking about burning through roughly $38,000 every single day. This is the story of one of the fastest and most spectacular financial collapses in entertainment history. A cautionary tale about success, excess, and the expensive lessons that came with it. So buckle up, because this story has more twists than one of Hammer's dance routines. Stanley Kirk Burrell was born on March 30th, 1962, in Oakland, California. And let me paint you a picture of his childhood, because it's about as far from wealth as you can get. Stanley grew up in a small apartment with his mother, father, and 8 siblings. That's right, 9 kids in one small space. Money wasn't just tight, it was virtually non-existent. But young Stanley was resourceful. As a kid, he started hanging around the Oakland Coliseum, where the Oakland A's played baseball. He'd dance for spare change, do splits in the parking lot, whatever it took to make a few bucks. The players noticed this energetic kid and started calling him Little Hammer because he looked like Hank Aaron, nicknamed Hammer and Hank. The team's owner, Charles Finley, even hired him as a bat boy and executive assistant. At 11 years old, Stanley had his first real job. After high school, Hammer joined the Navy for 3 years, but music was always calling him. He loved to rap, loved to perform, and he knew he had something special. In the mid-1980s, Hammer started his music career the hard way. He was performing at small clubs, selling records out of his car trunk, grinding it out in Oakland's underground hip-hop scene. His first album, Feel My Power, was released in 1987 on his own label. He sold it independently, hustling every copy himself. It actually did pretty well locally, selling over 60,000 copies. That got the attention of Capitol Records, who signed him in 1988. They re-released the album as Let's Get It Started, and suddenly, Hammer was on the radar. But nothing could prepare the world for what came next. In February 1990, Hammer released Please Hammer, Don't Hurt 'Em, and it absolutely exploded. The lead single, You Can't Touch This, became one of the most recognizable songs of all time. That iconic beat, sampled from Rick James's Super Freak, those parachute pants, that dance, it was everywhere. MTV played the video non-stop. Radio stations couldn't get enough. The song hit number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100, and the album shot to number 1. Here's how massive this album was. It sold over 10 million copies in the United States alone, over 18 million worldwide. It was certified diamond. At the time, it was the best-selling hip-hop album ever recorded. In 1991, Hammer won 3 Grammy Awards, 3 American Music Awards, and 8 Soul Train Music Awards. He wasn't just successful, he was a phenomenon. His tours were legendary. We're talking elaborate stage productions with dozens of dancers, massive sets, costume changes. He was selling out arenas worldwide. In 1991 alone, Hammer earned an estimated $33 million. At 29 years old, Stanley Kirk Burrell had gone from dancing for quarters in a parking lot to being one of the most famous and wealthy entertainers on the planet. And that's when the spending really began. Let's talk about the mansion, because when I say Hammer went big, I mean he went absolutely astronomical. In 1991, Hammer purchased a property in Fremont, California for $12 million. Now, $12 million for a house sounds expensive, but that was just the beginning. The estate sprawled across 40,000 square feet. To put that in perspective, the average American home is about 2,000 square feet. Hammer's house was 20 times that size. Let me list some of the amenities. Gold-plated front gates, because regular gates are for regular people. Italian marble floors throughout. Not some of the floors, all of them. The property had 2 recording studios. Why 2? Why not? A tennis court, a baseball diamond with stadium lights, a full regulation basketball court, a 17-car garage, which he filled, multiple swimming pools, a man-made waterfall. Inside there was a bowling alley, a full theater room, multiple kitchens. And get this, the master bedroom was so large it had its own zip code. Okay, not literally, but you get the idea. But Hammer wasn't satisfied with just buying the place. He spent millions more on renovations and customizations. Some estimates put the total investment in this property at over $30 million. Now here's where the math gets scary. The property taxes alone were roughly $50,000 per month. The utilities for a 40,000 square foot mansion? Another $30,000 per month. Maintenance, landscaping, security? You're looking at another $40,000 to $50,000 monthly. That's over $130,000 every single month, just to keep the lights on and the grass cut. Nearly $1.6 million per year on one house. Now let's talk about the cars, because one Lamborghini apparently wasn't enough. Hammer assembled a collection that included multiple Lamborghinis, several Ferraris, custom Hummers before Hummers were even commercially available, a Rolls-Royce, and various other luxury vehicles. His 17-car garage was full, with overflow parking needed. Oh, and the helicopters. Not 1, but 2. Because sometimes you need a backup helicopter, right? These weren't cheap rentals for special occasions. He owned them. Full maintenance, pilots on staff, the whole 9 yards. Then there was the racehorse business. Hammer got it in his head that breeding thoroughbred racehorses was going to be his next big venture. He invested millions buying horses, setting up stables, hiring trainers. Individual thoroughbred horses can cost anywhere from $50,000 to several $1 million. And that's just the purchase price. The ongoing costs of boarding, training, veterinary care, and staff add up to tens of thousands per horse per year. But here's the real money drain. The one that financial experts point to as the primary reason for Hammer's bankruptcy. The staff. MC. Hammer employed approximately 200 people, full-time. Let that number sink in for a second. 200 people on payroll. This included about 30 dancers who performed with him, choreographers, multiple personal assistants, bodyguards, his own barber on staff, personal trainers, a full-time chef and kitchen staff, gardeners for the massive property, IT specialists for his recording studios, accountants, lawyers, managers. Conservative estimates put his monthly payroll at over $500,000. That's $6 million per year just in salaries. And remember, that doesn't include benefits, insurance, or other employee costs. Hammer also started Busted Productions, his own record label. He signed multiple artists, which meant more staff, more studio time, more marketing costs. He launched a clothing line called J Slick, investing heavily in inventory and promotion. There were other business ventures too, a movie production company, various endorsement deals that required upfront investment. Each one seemed like a good idea at the time. Each one was bleeding money. By 1992, just 2 years after his massive breakthrough, the cracks were starting to show. His follow-up album, Too Legit to Quit, was released in October 1990. It went multi-platinum and sold well, but it didn't match the phenomenon of Please Hammer Don't Hurt 'Em. More importantly, it was extremely expensive to produce and promote. The music video for the title track cost an estimated $2.5 million to produce for one video. It was one of the most expensive music videos ever made at that time. But the bigger problem was the music industry was changing. The early 90s saw the rise of gangsta rap. Groups like NWA, artists like Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Tupac. The sound was harder, grittier, more aggressive. Hammer's pop-friendly, family-oriented rap was suddenly seen as outdated. Critics started calling him too commercial, not real hip-hop. Other rappers were openly mocking him in their songs. His subsequent albums performed progressively worse. The Funky Headhunter in 1994 tried to give him a harder edge, but it didn't work. Sales were disappointing. The hits had stopped coming. Concert attendance dropped. The massive arena tours became smaller venue shows. The $33 million per year was now maybe $5 million, then $3 million, then less. But here's the killer. Hammer's expenses hadn't changed. He still had the 200 employees, the mansion, the cars, the helicopters, the horses. The overhead was still massive. He was burning through roughly $30,000 per day in expenses, but the money coming in had slowed to a trickle. By 1995, the situation was critical. Hammer was being hit with lawsuits from multiple directions. He was sued by former associates over unpaid contracts. Music publishers were coming after him for unauthorized samples. Credit card companies, banks, vendors, everyone wanted their money. The IRS was especially problematic. Hammer owed approximately $800,000 in back taxes. When you're making $33 million a year, taxes feel manageable. When you're making a fraction of that, those bills become devastating. In 1996, the bank began foreclosure proceedings on the Fremont mansion. The property that Hammer had poured over $30 million into was being taken away. On April 3, 1996, Stanley Kirk Burrell filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in the United States Bankruptcy Court. The filing listed debts of nearly $13 million. His creditors included Grubman and Dursky and Schindler, his legal team, Oakland County Coliseum, the IRS. His own record label was a creditor. Even some of his employees were listed, owed back wages. On the asset side, he listed just over $9 million, including the mansion, the cars, and other property. Everything had to go. The mansion was sold at auction, the cars were liquidated, the helicopters were sold, the horses were dispersed. The staff was laid off. The empire that took 5 years to build and 5 years to destroy was officially gone. So what are the actual lessons here? Because this isn't just about one rapper's bad decisions. This is about fundamental principles of money management that apply to everyone. Lesson 1, never build a lifestyle based on peak income. Hammer assumed his $33 million per year would continue indefinitely. It didn't. Athletes, lottery winners, entertainers, they all make the same mistake. Build your lifestyle on your average income, not your best year. Lesson 2, fixed expenses are killers. That $500,000 monthly payroll, the mansion maintenance, the cars. These were fixed costs that had to be paid whether Hammer made $33 million or $3 million that year. Variable expenses flex with your income. Fixed expenses don't care. Lesson 3, distinguish between assets and expenses. The mansion wasn't an investment. It cost money every month. The horses weren't assets. They required constant feeding and care. Real assets generate income or appreciate in value without requiring constant cash infusions. Hammer's not alone. Studies show that 70% of lottery winners go broke within a few years. 60% of NBA players face serious financial difficulties within 5 years of retirement. 78% of NFL players are bankrupt or in financial distress within 2 years of leaving the league. The pattern is always the same: sudden wealth, lifestyle inflation, poor financial planning, and eventual collapse. But here's the redemptive part of this story. Hammer rebuilt his life. He found strong faith, became a minister. He started new tech ventures, invested more wisely, and became an advocate for financial literacy. He openly talks about his mistakes, hoping others can learn from them. He's actually become a voice of reason about money, management, in the entertainment industry. The real lesson isn't that Hammer was stupid or reckless. He was a kid from Oakland who suddenly had more money than he could imagine, and nobody taught him how to manage it. He was surrounded by yes men instead of financial advisors who would tell him hard truths. Today, MC Hammer is reportedly doing fine financially. Not $70 million fine, but comfortable. He's invested in tech startups, does speaking engagements, still performs occasionally. More importantly, he's at peace with his past. He calls that period of his life a learning experience. His story serves as a masterclass in both what to do when you find success and what not to do. Because at the end of the day, money management isn't about how much you make. It's about how much you keep, how wisely you spend, and whether you're building a sustainable life or just a spectacular show. And ironically, the title of his biggest hit became the perfect metaphor for his fortune. You really can't touch this if you spend it all before you've even counted it. If you learned something from this video, hit that subscribe button, and maybe check your own spending habits while you're at it.